I was not supposed to survive the war. That fact alone made my presence inside the crystalline halls of the Thalric's dominion feel like a mistake the universe had yet to correct. The ceiling above me curved like frozen starlight, layered with translucent panels that shimmered between shades of violet and deep ocean blue. Every surface hummed faintly with energy, alive, aware. This was not a palace built merely to impress. It was a structure grown, woven from biocrystal and thought-responsive matter, designed to remind visitors of one thing. You're small here. I stood at the center of the chamber, hands clasped behind my back, spine straight from habit drilled into me during my years as a human military envoy. Around me, the air felt heavier, denser, as if gravity itself bent slightly toward the throne. And upon that throne sat Queen Aurelice of Thalrix. She was taller than any human I had met, her form elegant and terrible all at once. Her skin gleamed like polished obsidian laced with silver veins that pulsed softly with light. Multiple luminous eyes regarded me with unsettling calm. Long, blade-like extensions fanned behind her shoulders, part ornament, part living crown. She had commanded fleets that erased human colonies from star maps. She had also, inexplicably, spared me. Envoy Elias Hart, the Queen said, her voice layered, one tone spoken, another resonating directly inside my skull. You have fulfilled your role. I swallowed. Then, I am free to return to Earth. Aurelice tilted her head slightly, an alien gesture I had come to recognize as amusement or curiosity. Earth no longer exists as you remember it. The words landed like a silent explosion in my chest. The armistice, she continued, required sacrifices on all sides. Your world was relocated, protected, altered. That was how Alien said changed forever. Before I could respond, the Queen rose. The chamber shifted, walls rearranging themselves like obedient servants. A soft glow spread across the floor, forming two circular patterns behind me. You came here expecting punishment, she said. Perhaps execution. Instead, I offer you a gift. My instincts screamed danger. I don't understand. You will. Light bloomed behind me. I turned and froze. Two figures stood within the glowing circles. They were unmistakably alien, yet disarmingly close to human in form. Both tall, both slender, both radiating an energy that prickled across my skin like static before a storm. The first had skin the color of pale moonstone, faintly translucent, as though starlight lived beneath it. Long hair cascaded down her back in strands of liquid silver. Her eyes, wide, luminous, and impossibly calm, met mine without fear. The second was her opposite in every way. Skin deep indigo, patterned with glowing constellations that shifted slowly across her body. Her hair floated weightlessly around her head, defying gravity. Her gaze was sharp, analytical, and unsettlingly intense. They wore no restraints, no fear. They looked at me. These are Ceres and Caliph, Queen Aurelice said. My hand and my shadow. I turned back to the throne. Your Majesty, I don't. They are bound to me, she continued, as extensions of my will. And now, they are bound to you. The room seemed to tilt. Bound how? Aurelice stepped down from the throne, her presence pressing against my senses like an approaching storm. You are human, she said. Fragile. Short-lived. Yet you possess a trait my people lack. Stubbornness. I muttered. Her eyes gleamed. Attachment. She gestured toward the two women. Ceres will preserve you. Caliph will protect you. Through them, you will survive what is coming. What's coming? I asked quietly. The Queen leaned close enough that I could see my reflection in her eyes. Succession. They were assigned to me that very night. No explanations. No instruction manual. Just two alien women following me silently through corridors that shifted and reformed like living puzzles. Saris walked at my left side, hands folded calmly, expression serene. Caliph stayed half a step behind, her eyes scanning every surface, every shadow. "This is insane," I muttered under my breath. Saris tilted her head. "Insanity is a human concept defined by deviation from expectation." "I wasn't expecting to be given two alien guardians as a gift," I snapped. Calitha's lips curved faintly. "You were not given guardians." I stopped walking. "Then what were you given as?" Saris answered softly. "Anchors." That didn't make me feel better. They led me to a chamber unlike any other in the palace, warm, softly lit, filled with organic textures that reminded me uncomfortably of home. A bed shaped itself from the floor as we entered. Walls shifted into windows overlooking a nebula-drenched sky. "This will be your residence," Sarah said. "And you?" I asked. "We remain," Caliph said simply. That night, sleep did not come easily. Every instinct told me this was a trap. Political manipulation at best. Something far darker at worst. But exhaustion eventually won. When I woke, Saris was seated beside the bed, her fingers hovering inches from my wrist. Caliph stood near the entrance, arms crossed. "What were you doing?" I asked. Saris did not pull away. "Monitoring your neural patterns. Humans exhibit irregular cycles during rest." "You could have asked." Her eyes softened. "You would have said no." She wasn't wrong. Days turned into weeks. I learned that Saris possessed biokinetic abilities. She could accelerate healing, stabilize cellular decay, even subtly influence emotional states. Caliph, meanwhile, was a living weapon. Faster than any soldier I'd trained with. Stronger. Deadlier. Together, they were terrifying. And strangely comforting. They ate with me, though neither required food as I did. They asked questions about Earth, about rain, about music, about laughter. Saris listened like every word mattered. Caliph challenged my answers, pushing for logic, patterns, cause, and effect. The palace staff watched us with open unease. Humans were not meant to have companions like these. It was during a private audience weeks later that the truth finally surfaced. "The bond has deepened," Queen Aurelice observed, her gaze flicking between the three of us. "Good." "What bond?" I demanded. Saris and Caliph exchanged a glance. Caliph spoke. "The queen has no heirs." The words echoed in my mind. Saris continued gently. "Her species does not reproduce as humans do. Succession is chosen." I felt cold. "Chosen how?" "Through resonance," the queen said. "The future ruler must understand what it means to care for others beyond themselves." Her gaze locked onto me. "You were selected not to rule," she clarified, "but to teach." "Teach what?" "How to love something fragile," Orally said. Silence fell. Saris stepped closer to me. "Through us, your values will echo forward." Caliph added, quieter than I'd ever heard her speak, "And through you, we learned what it means to choose." I realized then that this was never about ownership or control. It was about legacy. Years passed. The galaxy changed. Queen Aurelice eventually faded, her consciousness merging with the Dominion itself. A new ruler rose, shaped by human empathy and alien wisdom. As for me, I remained, not as a prisoner, not as a king, but as something far rarer, a bridge. Sarah still watches over my aging body, slowing time where she can. Caliph still stands guard when shadows gather at the edges of the stars. And sometimes, when the nebula light spills through our windows, I remember the moment my life diverged from everything I thought it would be. The day a queen gave me her most unexpected gift. Not power, not immortality, but two mysterious alien women and a future that no longer belonged to just one world. The last stars of Queen Auralis's era dimmed quietly. There was no grand explosion, no cosmic funeral. One moment, the Dominion's central core pulsed with her presence, and the next, it did not. The palace did not mourn in the human sense. It rebalanced. Corridors shifted. Light recalibrated. The throne dissolved into flowing crystal, reshaping itself for the ruler who would never sit upon it the same way. I stood at the observation spire when it happened. Ceres was beside me, her hand resting lightly against my arm, her bioluminescent veins glowing softly in a rhythm I had come to recognize as grief. Caliph stood a few steps back, rigid and silent, but her constellations flickered erratically across her skin, betraying what her posture refused to show.
"She's gone," I said.
Ceres nodded. "She has become everywhere." Caliph finally spoke. "And now the Dominion moves forward."
So did I.
I never returned to Earth, not the Earth I remembered. Humanity had changed during my absence, adapted under alien protection, grown into something quieter but stronger. I visited when I could. I told stories. I listened to new ones. But my home was here. Years passed, then decades. My hair grayed. My steps slowed. The palace adjusted itself to me, smoothing ramps where stairs once were, warming chambers before the cold reached my bones. Ceres preserved what she could. Caliph guarded what time would not spare. On my final night, the stars outside burned bright and close. "You did not fail," Ceres whispered, sensing the thoughts I could no longer voice. Caliph knelt beside me, something she had never done before. "You changed us," she said. "That is not a small thing." I smiled, feeling strangely light. "Neither are you." When my breathing finally stilled, there was no fear. Only warmth. Only connection. Long after my name faded from records, the Dominion endured, guided by rulers who understood restraint, compassion, and the cost of power. And in their histories, in quiet footnotes and half-forgotten myths, there remained a story told to young leaders before they were allowed to choose their path. A story about a fragile human who was never meant to rule, yet taught an empire how to care. And beside that story, always were two figures, one of light, one of shadow, watching the stars, remembering the man who bridged worlds and called them home.